Good evening, everybody, and welcome to a very special edition of Beaver Sports Talk tonight from Buffalo Wild Wings on Northwest 9th Street in Corvallis. It's as busy a show, I think, perhaps in the 16-year history of Beaver Sports Talk at the various venues we've been honored to do the show from. Tonight, we have three very outstanding guests that you will enjoy hearing from, and we'll have our first one up in just a moment, coming off a big win. If that tips you off, we'll be joined here in just a second by our first guest. We'll also be joined by Oregon State men's basketball coach Wayne Tinkle in the second half of the show. In the first half, and just to give him a little bit of a flavor right from the get-go, even before he joins me up here, tonight on this show, for the first time from Buffalo Wild Wings, we will welcome head football coach Gary Andersen. So that's all part of the show tonight. Thank you all for coming. But we want to get started with an exciting event amongst many lately in Beaver Nation. This is how it ended today in Chapel Hill.
Hansen to Weiss. The ball's kicked out of bounds by Gray. So North Carolina continuing to play hard. But this one's all about the Beavers tonight, taking a step into the nation's elite by beating a traditional power, North Carolina. The final score of a 3-2-1. It's over in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Oregon State Beavers jumping up and down out here at midcourt with a huge victory over North Carolina.
70-55, the Beavers knock off number 6, North Carolina in Chapel Hill. The first time a Beaver basketball team has ever beaten a top 10 team on the road. And joining us, and let's give him a Buffalo Wild Wings and Beaver Sports Talk welcome to Scott Rueck, joining us here on the Beaver Sports Radio Network following the tremendous win today. Coach, thanks for taking time for us. Congratulations. I imagine there's a lot of happy players, coaches, a great win for you and the program. Congratulations, Scott.
Hey, thank you, Mike, and hey, everybody. What a great time to be a Beaver, huh?
Yes, absolutely.
The team is out. So I'm missing a pizza party in the hallway right now. They're out celebrating, and so it was a heck of a day for us.
You know, Coach, you controlled this game. Many people watched it here at Buffalo Wild Wings, saw the game on ESPN3 or listened to Ron Callan's great call. But give us a sense about taking some early control in the game and holding off whatever runs North Carolina had in them.
Yeah, we talked all week about defensive transition, you know, and this is a team that lives on the O boards and they live out of transition, and they're so athletic, you know, and that was the key early, was just to lock them up, make it be a 5-on-5 game. I thought we could get shots, and we did. You know, Ruth established herself early on the inside, you know, and then we have shooters on the perimeter. But the key to this whole thing was just half-court defense and being gritty on the boards. And we won the boards by 7, you know, and we made them shoot 27%. Two great numbers for us.
And Ruth Hamblin, you referred to 17 points, 10 rebounds. That seems to be, for the Canadian Hammer, a typical sort of game. But how about Devin Hunter with a career-high 16 rebounds tonight? Congratulations to Devin. And from what I understand, listening to Ron, some rebounds that were really big in terms of kind of holding the Tar Heels off.
Well, we talked about, you know, this team has been close or behind in several games so far this year, and then they come out second half and get out in transition. They up their intensity defensively, and they run away from people in the second half. That's been their MO. So at halftime, we talked about that. We've got to win the first 4 minutes until that first media, you know, and we missed some shots early, but Devin was unreal on the O boards and getting rebound putback, and she was the one that really allowed us to keep our separation and actually grow our lead during that time. She was awesome today.
And, Coach, in a game where Sydney Weiss only shoots 2 for 12, her floor leadership was outstanding by all reports. Tell us a little bit about, on a night when the shot wasn't falling as it usually does for Sydney, how important she was to the win.
Well, she's our heart and soul. She's our leader on the floor. That ball is in her hands most of the time. And this is a team that really challenges passing lanes. And so we needed a floor leader that can maintain the dribble, get her defender into on-ball screens with Ruth. And that really was tough for them to guard tonight. And like you said, she struggled from the floor. She actually missed a free throw or two as well, which is a little uncharacteristic. But she finished the game with 8 assists, and was that leader. And, she's still just a sophomore. This was her first game playing against such a highly ranked team on the road, and Sid just did a great job leading our team tonight.
Well, Scott, we're going to let you get back to that pizza party here in a moment. We have a party, as you know, right here at Buffalo Wild Wings tonight with Gary Andersen and Wayne Tinkle to come. But you guys, with this gigantic win, now want to keep the momentum going and take care of business this weekend in New Orleans. And I'm sure after a little celebration tonight, as you take your 8-0 team to practice tomorrow, that's the message, right? You want to finish this thing now.
Well, when we got on that plane a couple days ago, we had 120 minutes of basketball to play, and we're only done with 40 of it. So we've got 80 minutes to go, and this team is dialed and focused on continuing to go 3-0 on this trip is our goal. And so today was a great day. You guys have all kinds of fun ahead of you tonight. What a great time for all of us at Oregon State. And so you guys enjoy, and Mike, I appreciate your time tonight. So proud
Scott,
of you.
Congratulations. Let's hear it again, everybody, for Scott Rueck. Thanks for joining us. The women's basketball team 70, number 6, North Carolina 55 in Chapel Hill. We'll take a break and come back with Coach Gary Andersen from Buffalo Wild Wings next on the Beaver Sports Radio Network. We welcome you back to Buffalo Wild Wings on the Beaver Sports Radio Network. Our thanks to Scott Rueck for joining us. Wayne Tinkle will be coming on a little bit later to talk about the triple-double from GP2 and the Beavers 6-0 at Gill playing DePaul on Thursday night. But when we were planning the shows for the end of December, we didn't quite know we'd be doing a football show. And if we did, we didn't quite know who we were going to be doing it with. But it is my honor and true pleasure for the first time. Let's give a Beaver Nation welcome, Buffalo Wild Wings welcome to new head football coach Gary Andersen on Beaver Sports Talk here on the Beaver Sports Radio Network. Good evening, Coach.
Good evening. How are we doing?
We're doing well, and I asked you at halftime of the Beavers' victory over Mississippi State on Saturday what you've met with here. What's the one word that came to your mind about Beaver Nation and all your handshaking and the various things you've done? And you said passion. Mm-hmm. And maybe you could elaborate a little bit on that, because it's obviously here tonight, and wherever you've been turning, it seems like that's what you've been kind of getting the vibe back.
Absolutely. It's great to have everybody out here. There's a lot going on this time of year and a lot of other places to be, but to be out here supporting the basketball teams and what they're doing right now, it's impressive. And, it was fun to go to the game the other night and watch coaches, guys get out there and bang around. What the girls did today is so impressive. And, there's a little roar that went through our office today when the GAs came in and told us they won. We knew at halftime, then we lost track of it, recruiting, and all of a sudden, boom, they won. And pretty special. Good times right now. Great time to be a Beaver.
It is absolutely a great time to be a Beaver, and part of that and what makes it so great is just the invigorating news. And we see Bob DeCarolis, Director of Athletics here, Mark Masseri, Deputy Director of Athletics. By the way, let's hear it for Bob and Mark and their efforts in terms of finding this gentleman here in the search. And, Gary, I know that there's a lot of stories that could be told. Maybe someday
a lot of stories.
We'll know the
Careful what you
full
believe.
Story.
Yeah.
But what's your story, just in terms of Bob, these people, and why you're in this seat sitting here tonight? We're glad you are.
Well, first of all, the professionalism that was handled through the whole process was amazing, and those two guys, it was done the right way from the very beginning of the talks, and there was no hidden agendas on either side. And that was, for me, the simplest part was the end, when I was going to go tell Wisconsin what I was going to do, that there was no agendas, there was no leveraging, it's where I was going. And I think that took some people by a little bit of shock in those situations. That's fine, but they laid it out there. They showed the vision of the program, the direction that they wanted to head. There's obviously a tremendous foundation that's been set by Coach Riley and his staff for a number of years, and the whole thing just became a slam dunk, and it was so easy to make the decision. And everybody else wants to bring all the drama to it, but on my end and on Stacy's end, there wasn't drama.
Yeah, and Coach, you told me the same thing at halftime Saturday. You said once just a few calls made and some interaction that it wasn't that difficult of a gut-wrenching decision. You had a pretty clear sense of vision about what you wanted to do.
Yeah, there's no question. I did the little deal with Jim Rome today, and before he drilled me for like 10 minutes before, saying, "Okay, I won't say anything. What's going on?" And da 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 da. And it's the decision. You look at it, and I guess. From afar, I was able to compete, didn't play, but obviously coached a team, came in, played against Oregon State a couple, 3 times, mixed bag of results. But the way the kids played, the way they competed, and then our opportunity to, through the years of recruiting, just see young men go on trips, their care factor, their want to continually go to Oregon State. And we had a heck of a time trying to beat Oregon State in recruiting in our time at Utah. And you gain a respect for a program from afar and what Coach Riley again stood for and the direction that it's headed now. It was just, again, it's I can't explain it, but I say it all the time. Some people get it, some people don't. I go where I know I'm supposed to be, and I know where I'm supposed to be.
Coach Gary Andersen joining us here at Buffalo Wild Wings. Wayne Tinkle will be coming up in a few minutes, and I got to give Wayne credit. He's come up with a tremendous slogan that seems apropos in terms of your decision to make Oregon State a true destination and landing spot for yourself, your family, and the people that I've got to meet tonight who will be part of your staff that have joined you here at Buffalo Wild Wings. Coach Tinkle says Oregon State, damn straight. D-A-M, of course, but Oregon State, damn straight. And that's...
I like that,
yeah,
Coach.
Hey,
it's good.
I don't know if Coach Tinkle knows, but that is good. But that captures it, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
If you look at what depends on what you want. If you want to live in a big city and go to a school or whatever it may be, that's fine. But to me, it's not a true college experience. And I had the opportunity to be in a similar situation at Utah State, and I watched my own children grow up through that process. And they're still going to school there. And then you come into Corvallis and you look at it, but the relationship between the community and the student athletes, the student body. I haven't seen it all. I've been here through Christmas break, but it's just amazing to listen to the kids. And when you take a job, you sit down and listen to as many kids as you can. And I'll meet with every one of them as we go through this process. But I've probably sat down with, 30 of them as we've gone through the last couple days. And I ask them all the same questions. I ask them about how they think the training's going, how they went through different scenarios, how it is to be here, all the stuff. And it all comes back all the time as coach, this is a great place to go to college. And that's special when you can hear those young men say, and they're volunteering the information. You're not asking them.
We will take a break and come back with more with Coach Andersen. He's already talked a little bit about how busy it's been. We'll find out a little bit more about what that looks like here in these early days in his new era as the head football coach at Oregon State University. It's great to have you all with us tonight. We'll take a break, come back with more with Gary Andersen after a quick timeout on the Beaver Sports Radio Network. We welcome you back, Buffalo Wild Wings on the Beaver Sports Radio Network. Great to have you all with us on this Tuesday night. Oregon State men's basketball coach Wayne Tinkle will join us in a few minutes. If you're just joining us, we had Scott Rueck on at the outset with the unbeaten Oregon State women knocking off number 6, North Carolina in Chapel Hill earlier today, 70-55. We're joined tonight by new Oregon State football coach Gary Andersen. Gary, you've been very busy, I know, on the national media front. I've been hearing you on a lot of shows everywhere. And we've already touched on this big theme, but Jim Rome and Jay Moore and Mike and everybody kind of, you had a great job and did a great job, and you've chosen Oregon State. We love that that's a fact. And, again, you've articulated already part of the reasons for it. But that question does seem to come up wherever you turn.
Yeah, it continually wants to come up, and the bottom line is the answer is, I came here because this is where I want to be, this is where I need to be, and it's not because I had a problem at Wisconsin. I could have stayed there and coached for a long, long time. It's because this was an option that came up, and this is where I wanted to go. It's not that I couldn't stay. It's not that I didn't want to stay. It's that this was a better opportunity for myself and my family, and it's a place from afar that I've I don't know what you want to call it, a long-distance love affair. I don't know what you want to call it, but for a long time it's been a place that I've had my eye on, and I didn't expect Coach Riley to ever leave, and he did.
I remember you've referenced a couple of games in competing against the Beavers. The 2007 game, the season opener, you said you came down that ramp. Good football game for Oregon State, but the whole place, even though you left having lost the game, I'm sorry to bring that up, but you got some big revenge the following year in a great college football game in that unbeaten season when you were the D coordinator. 2008, the second unbeaten season, but you got through the Beavers in a great football game, 31-28.
Yeah, it was a crazy game. I just remember the punt at the end, and you and I have talked about that, and the Beavs got the ball back, and we were able to get him to step out of bounds on third down, thank goodness, and had the punt, and then Louis Scota made a kick. That was a tremendously physical football game. Two very well-coached teams, in my opinion, and it came down to one play like great football games do often.
You know, we have seen in those Utah defenses when you were there, and they've continued to be under Kyle Whittingham, but physical, tough. I mean, tell us a little bit about what your whole defensive philosophy is predicated on.
Well, the whole defensive philosophy started with Kyle's dad, Fred Whittingham, who's no longer with us. It all started there, and Kyle and I continue to build it for many years while we're together, and we've grown and adapted in different ways. And so, you know, the credit goes to Big Fred for a long, long time ago. And, you know, Kalani's running it now at Utah, and obviously went through a couple different coordinators at Utah State. I hired Dave. Dave's done a nice job of adapting it, and I've had the opportunity to be on that side of the ball the last year closely. I was able to coach a position last year on defense at Utah State, or excuse me, at Wisconsin. See, I've already but at Wisconsin, I was able to get back in and coach a position, and it's based on, you know, good players first. It's not about coaches in those settings. I think it's a good scheme. It's very sound. We can teach the young man the concepts and the principles, but they do a good job executing it. But we want to play man coverage. We'll either play some two high safeties or single high safeties every year, depending on who is best equipped to do what they do best. And we'll put the best 11 kids or the best 14 or 15 kids in position to play aggressive defense.
And on the other side, Coach, perhaps you could speak to us a bit just about your thoughts about offensive football and how your thoughts have evolved through the years.
Yeah. Well, you know, football has changed, and the world of offensive football with the quarterbacks coming in and the ability for them to be able to run has truly changed the game. It's very hard to defend in certain scenarios. So when we look at our offensive philosophy, we want to open it up a little bit. We want the quarterback to be able to hurt you with his arms, his leg, and his mind consistently and be a threat with running and throwing the football. It's so very, very important, and we want to stretch the field horizontally and vertical in the run game and in the throw game. And that will include, you know, a few changes as far as it goes. But we'll take the best kids we have and we'll get them in positions. Sometimes we want to play fast. Sometimes we want to play slow. We want to be an offense that can keep defensive coordinators off pace with the type of people we put on the field, the way we put them on the field, the formations we use pre-snap, and then have them in a position to be able to defend the whole field and use all 11 defenders.
A few amens from the amen corner here. We appreciate that. Coach Andersen joining us here at Buffalo Wild Wings on the Beaver Sports Radio Network. On the offensive side, as you work to put together the best staff at Oregon State, you sat down with Brent Brennan and chose to retain him. Tell us a little bit about that conversation and the why and the wherefore. You didn't really have a previous relationship with him, but you kept Brent Brennan on.
Yeah, well, those are hard times. For coaches, it's a hard time for myself to sit down and, you know, have discussions. And we all know when you get into this business, that's part of the deal. But, you know, he came in, we communicated very well. And at this level, I'm not going to sit down with the coach and grind him on the board and say, how are you going to have your wide receivers play, or how are you going to be involved in the offense? I listened to other coaches. I reached out to other coaches that have great respect for him on the road, how he's recruited. And he cares for his players. I know that because I've asked his players. So I don't need to know how he's going to teach a kid to run a slant route. I don't need to see how he's going to get a guy to come off of press coverage. I want to know how he's going to take care of the players, and I want to know how he's going to recruit, because that's the backbone of any successful college football program, especially at this level. He showed me that he could do that. We went through a couple more days, and he became the apparent guy that to keep on the staff most definitely at this point. And he's a tremendous coach. There's a lot of great things out there for him, and he has a passion for this place. You know, his kids are deeply involved in his wife within the community. Those little ones are having a good time, and I was able to pass the message on to his wife, and Stacy was still here then, and they were just so excited to remain part of it. And it wasn't just a sigh of relief, oh, I've got a job. It was, you know what, I get to stay in Corvallis and coach at Oregon State, and that's special.
So, Gary, what's happening? I mean, there's so much going on. We appreciate you taking time to be with us tonight. But what are you doing right now when you talk about recruiting and putting a staff together? Give us a sense of what your life is like right now and what you're working on.
Not much. We're just getting up in the morning and hanging out and looking for something to do. We wake up in the morning, very, very early. It's good for us. We're still adjusting to the time change a little bit, but the key is the kids in the program. How we get to know them. We sat down with the trainers today and went through every kid and talked about prior injuries, how he sits, where is he. Meet as many of them as you can and have a quick conversation with them. Most of them again are gone. Any issues that are out there, shoot them an email. Make sure they know they can reach out to us, and a lot of the kids have been awesome at doing that. So that's number one. Number two is putting together a staff for these kids that is the best staff that we can possibly get, and I expect it to be a world-class staff because it's a great spot to go. It's a great opportunity for coaches. And then, thirdly, you sit back and look at it, and it's recruiting. And it's really not, that's A, B, and C, or 1A, 1B, and 1C, I guess, if you'd look at it. And we've been able to communicate with the recruits, look at our numbers, and see how do our numbers fit the numbers that were here. So, for instance, we want to have 4 to 5 tight ends. Maybe they want a 6 or 7. How many offensive linemen do you have? Well, how's your class broken down? A lot goes into that, and it's just, but you know what? It's fun work because we're all fired up, and these guys I brought with me have done a tremendous job of getting us. At least we're running forward right now instead of sitting in the water waiting for our sail to get blown.
And, Coach, final thing, and we appreciate you being here. Wayne Tinkle will be up here in just a minute. But in terms of recruiting, and we touched a little bit on this in some conversations that'll be online at OSUBeavers.com shortly. But your reach, you've reached a lot of states. You've been to a lot of places recruiting both at Utah State and Utah and Wisconsin. So tell us a little bit about just your methodology, the types of players you're looking for, how you go about it, a little bit on the junior college scene, and just how you've built programs.
Well, first of all, you want to reach out in your state. I think that's important. This is a state where there's a lot of young men that play multiple sports, and there's good athletes in the state, and I don't want to miss one. And I want to make sure we battle that and do a good job. So the relationships to the high school coaches is important. Obviously, we're going to be on the West Coast, and our ability to get in the West Coast, you're not going to walk into a high school anywhere on the West Coast and walk in there with OSU or a Beaver on your shirt, and they're going to know where you're from. And so that's a powerful, powerful tool. And most times there's some young man that's been successful at Oregon State in the past within the halls of that high school. So that's great to see. So we'll go there on the West Coast. From there, I believe we need to branch out in the junior colleges, and we'll hit all the junior colleges. There's been a lot of success here with junior college players, and as a staff, we've had a lot of success. So you go to California, obviously, you go to Arizona, you go to Kansas, you go to Texas. And that's where you hit those junior colleges and do a nice job there. From there, we'll branch out to the southeast in certain areas, whether it be Georgia, whether it be Florida. There's been some success here in the past with those young men coming here, and we've had success. So you look, you get your needs. There's a whole bunch of players out there, but at the end of the day, it's the fit. And the fit is the social fit, because there's a responsibility to come to Oregon State for a student athlete. There's a lot of young faces that you're going to look at every single day, and you're going to leave a positive effect or a negative effect in how you carry yourself. Academically, are you willing to come here and get the work done to get a degree, and a quality degree, a big-time degree that's going to allow you to move forward in life once you're done playing football? And then lastly, to play football at the highest level and compete and contend for championships. And if you're not doing that, then I believe you're doing it for all the wrong reasons.
And in closing, with this great crowd here tonight of Buffalo Wild Wings, I heard you today on the national show with Rome. You said at the end, "Go Beavs," and Romy repeated it immediately. He said, "Go Beavs." There's a lot of "Go Beavs" and going on right now. These are exciting times. And so your message to everybody here and to people listening on the network tonight as you embark on this new venture in life, Coach.
Well, we're blessed. We're humbled to be here. We'll roll all these coaches in here, and can't wait for that meeting on January 5th to get the young men started. We're going to hop in there head first on the very first day, get the offseason going. We'll break it down. Our first quarter is the offseason. Our second quarter is spring ball. Third quarter is going to put us in summer conditioning, and the fourth quarter is the season. The key is to take care of the first quarter so you get to the second quarter prepared. Past that, again, thank you for the opportunity to be here. I know it's where we're supposed to be. Merry Christmas. God bless. Go Beavs.
Hey, go Beavs. Thank you, Coach. Appreciate it, Gary. Gary Andersen joining us. Wayne Tinkle on deck. Standing ovation here at Buffalo Wild Wings for Coach Gary Andersen, for Scott Rueck earlier. And when Wayne Tinkle gets up here, you'll be back up again, right? We'll take a break. Coach Tinkle next on the Beaver Sports Radio Network. We welcome you back, Buffalo Wild Wings on the Beaver Sports Radio Network. Now listen. I'm not telling you what to do, but you've been kind of up and down all night. Can you get up one more time for Oregon State men's basketball coach Wayne Tinkle joining us? Thank you. I don't think they needed prompting. They would have done it on their own. But we've had a great time tonight, Coach, with Scott Rueck, with Gary Andersen. Oregon State, damn straight. These are exciting times, and that's getting some real life. But exciting times, great momentum. Another win for you we'll talk about in a minute. But tonight just speaks of this real momentum going on around here.
Well, we've been talking about it for a while, and it's really credit to our president and our leadership in the athletic department. There's reason to be excited, dang it. You know, we've got Coach Rueck, who's turned things around. We've got the other sports that have been doing it consistently. Football, we know Coach Riley has brought him out of the bowels of hell, and, he's moved on. And now we're really excited about Coach Andersen and what he's going to do with his staff. And, we're just trying to do our part on the men's basketball side. And you heard Coach talk about what attracted him to Oregon State and to Corvallis and the fit. And it's the same things that attracted Lisa and I to come here. We had opportunities to go other places. We weren't just looking to jump. You knew what Montana meant to us, and we knew that we could get those same things here from the people wearing the orange and black, and we're very, very excited to be here.
Last night, the Beavers go to 6-0 at Gill, 71-43 over Grambling State. An opportunity Thursday night, which we'll talk about, against DePaul. But let's listen to one of the plays, a young man en route to a triple-double. Go into full-court pressure, get the steal. Duvivier to Payton. Floats in the air with a one-hand jam. He was up there a long time and put it down. Not an emphatic jam, but was up so long, dunked it softly home. And the Beavers lead it 49-12. 49-12. I hope you caught that. Gary Payton, too, en route to 10 points, 12 rebounds, 10 assists, a triple-double for Gary Payton, too. Only one other player, and it was also a guy by the name of Gary Payton. Coach Tinkle, that's special to be around moments like that.
Yeah, it really is. And I tell you, we talked about it briefly. I was fortunate enough to have a player named Kareem Jamar play for us at Montana that had one against a 20-point win against Hawaii. Oddly enough, Coach Rupp was on that Hawaii staff. And several other opportunities in blowouts. And we pull him out, and then somebody comes by, coach, he's one rebound away, and I don't like to try to upstand the other team or embarrass anybody, but I thought last night when Coach Gottlieb mentioned he was 2 assists away, what a neat deal for father and son to share, such a dignified honor to be the only 2. I thought it was worthy of any heat that I might have taken, and there certainly hasn't been any. Had it been maybe 6 points away from something, we probably wouldn't have done it. But 2 assists, it's a very unselfish statistic, and everybody's very excited that he accomplished that.
Sean Scheffler, we are too. Congratulations. Sean Scheffler from the athletics communication staff went to work. It's believed to be the only father-son triple-double combination in college basketball history. So Gary Payton the first, Gary Payton the second, with triple doubles, and it was fun. It was fun to be part of it, Coach. But it also speaks to, when you said it was an unselfish, your team's passing in building that lead 41-9 at halftime. The passing was beautiful. Unselfish play last night.
They're starting to get it a little bit. We've been waiting for our offense, and there's times that it's still mystifying, but that's part of the process. But it was neat to see. When we got ball movement, we went inside, outside, ball reversal, penetrate, kick. our percentages went up. And so our guys are starting to maybe get a little bit of a grip. But the reason we're in the position we are is because of the way our guys have hung their hat on the defensive end. And that's what everybody said when we got to Corvallis. Coach, will you just promise your guys will defend? And I said, that's all we know how to do. So we're glad that they're doing that.
After last night's game, let me just give you something. It's the fourth opponent that's been held under 30%, and the Beavers are now 7th in the nation in field goal percentage defense following last night's win. That gives you a chance, doesn't it, Coach, playing like that?
It does. You know, with the lack of numbers, the lack of depth, we told our guys from day one, if we will defend and buy into that and rebound the ball, it'll give us a chance against any opponent on our schedule. And so far they've bought into that.
The Beavers going to 6-0 at Gill. We'll try to go to 7-0 Thursday on Teddy Bear Night. There's a nice... We'll talk about how you can see the softer side of Wayne Tinkle when we come back. More coming up with Coach Tinkle. Beaver Sports Talk from Buffalo Wild Wings. Thanks for joining us on the Beaver Sports Radio Network. We welcome you back to Buffalo Wild Wings Beaver Sports Talk on the Beaver Sports Radio Network. Thursday night, we'll be on the air at 6:30, 7:06 tip against DePaul. DePaul comes in at 6-3. It's the back end of the home and home. The Beavers losing last year in Chicago, hoping to turn the tables and win their 7th straight at Gill Coliseum Thursday night. One of the plays, before we kind of shift gears, one other highlight to listen to talk a little bit about not only GP2 getting the triple-double. This was the only basket for this young man who's been scoring in double figures almost every game. But it looks to me like when Langston is at his best. Here was a play early last night. Throws the ball to the right corner to Morris Walker. Langston fakes left, dribbles right to the basket. Slam dunk. And the Beavers lead it 12-2, 14:48 to go on the half. The Beavers en route to a 23-4 lead, 41-9 at halftime, a lead that eventually reached 44 points, and the Beavers win 71-43. It was not a big night for Langston last night, but Coach, he has the ability to beat people like he did on that play.
No, certainly. He's pretty good putting it on the floor, and he had a couple turnovers up in Portland in the first half. And I told him at halftime, we're putting in one dribble rule. And he says, what's that? I said, you can only dribble it one time, and you either have to pick it up or pass it. And he looked at me, and I think it spurred enough fire because in the second half he came out, went to the basket, scored 3 strong moves to the rim to kind of prove me. And that's what we were trying to do, is light a fire under him. But he's really done a pretty good job defensively. But we've got to get him comfortable behind the arc, because he's shooting about 24% from 3, and he's a much better shooter than that. And it's like Malcolm last night. If we can get Langston a good look early and get it to go in, I think a lot of pressure will come off of his shoulders.
Malcolm knocking down 3 threes last night, and each one, Coach, he looked very comfortable. Everything in rhythm, his legs under him. That's what he's capable of. Right?
Yes, and if you go even a little deeper, he was playing off the ball. Right. Gary was kind of running the point at that time, and I think that's telling us something a little bit, that Malcolm may maybe feel a little less pressure if he's off the ball and not running the show for us. So that's something we're going to have to try to continue to develop in Gary.
You mentioned the performance in Portland by Langston, and that was a big night for Victor Robbins with a career-high 18. Vic last night with a career-high 22 points in the Beavers win. And good things happening for Victor.
Yeah, Victor's been pretty good for us, and it's been kind of one night on, one night off, but he's playing with so much more energy and focus on a consistent level that we know it's not going to be long before he's giving us those types of games night in and night out.
Jamal Reed had a big throwdown dunk and a run out, but then he kind of hobbled his way back down the court and asked out, is there any update on his stat?
Yeah, there's no structural damage. I think he just was surprised he got up that high and tweaked himself a little bit on the landing. And, we joked with him today. We had a great team meal provided by Coach Rupp's wife, Lori. She wanted to have a little bit of a holiday meal before we leave. And with my wife being back in Montana for a couple of weeks, we all got together, but we had some fun with the guys on a few of the plays from last night. And Jamal's fine. He's got a little bit, it was an aggravated patellar tendon deal, but no structural damage. So he's day-to-day like all of us. But we're not sure if he'll be able to play Thursday, but maybe on that trip to Quinnipiac.
Let's talk about Thursday a little bit. First, It's a big night and an opportunity for Beaver Nation to give back. In the first annual Teddy Bear Toss Night, you're encouraged to bring a new teddy bear, or as the language of the promotion reads, a lightly used teddy bear. It doesn't have to be absolutely brand new, but please, lightly used or new. And at halftime, you'll be able to toss the teddy bears onto the court, and all of these stuffed animals will go to CARDVA, the Center Against Rape and Domestic Violence. It's on us. It's part of that effort. It's part of this holiday season and an opportunity for Beaver Nation to give back to the community. And you can see Coach Tinkle agreed. It's on YouTube now. I don't know how many of you have seen it yet, but the OSU YouTube site with Coach Tinkle and a couple of teddy bears that you kind of get dancing a little bit. But you're all in on this. It's a great cause.
No,
and you're in.
Certainly. It's a great cause. And, if our players see us getting involved in those types of things, they understand when we ask them, and the importance, to get out of your own little shell. It's not about you. There's big causes out there, and it's all part of their development as future leaders and responsible citizens whenever they leave us and get back into their individual communities. So it's a neat deal, and I'm loving the fact that our marketing department, people across campus are pushing those things. And I think it's vital to our young student athletes' growth, but it's also very, very beneficial to our community.
We hope that you'll all be there Thursday night and bring those teddy bears and give back to the community. And in terms of being there, and we hope most of the people in this room will be at Gill Coliseum's atmosphere, Coach, with the students gone, even in these last couple of home games, there's been a palpable energy, hasn't there?
Certainly. There's some momentum building, isn't there? Yeah, it's really neat to see, and I try to control maybe I need a seatbelt over there. My wife tells me sometimes, but that gets me excited, and we're pretty passionate about the way we go about things, but I know that crowd fuels the fire of our players. And as we move forward and get into conference and we get our students back, we hope to continue to build that momentum to where we make this eventually one of the harder places to play in the Pac-12.
Well, it's been pretty hard for everybody. They're 6-0. The Beavers will try to go to 7-0 Thursday. We'll talk about that with DePaul coming in our final segment with Coach Wayne Tinkle from Buffalo Wild Wings right after this final timeout on the Beavers Sports Radio Network. We welcome you back. Our final segment with Oregon State men's basketball coach Wayne Tinkle. It has been an action-packed show here tonight, and we hope to see you all Thursday when the Beavers take on DePaul. No disrespect to what Sean Walker and Grambling's trying to do. That's a tough rebuild that he has, and they've got a long way to go in that. But, Coach, your team's focus to build the lead last night was impressive. We've only got about a minute and a half, but it won't be quite as easy Thursday now, will it?
No, it won't. Yeah. But, the thing that impressed me about last night was it was on the heels of a big win against Mississippi State and sandwiched in between another big game against DePaul. We were concerned about our guys coming out flat looking past. Wasn't the case at all. They came back with their ears pinned back, their hair on fire, and we set the tone. To hold a Division I team to 9 points and a half was, our guys should take credit, and Grambling probably missed some shots they normally make, but that's kind of what happens when teams are in your face for 20 minutes. And it was neat to see our guys come out that way. And, and then we had a pretty good 10 minutes in the second half, and it got a little sloppy. We fouled a little too much, but, it was good to get out of the gate. And I thought it was great that we got our walk-ons an opportunity to play because they're bringing it every day. We opened up tryouts. Yeah, let's hear it for them. We asked them to join this team to help us because we needed their help. And so it was great to give them a shot to get out there and get some appreciation from the fans and get some playing time. It was really neat to see that.
It really was. And at the end of the game, and there were 5 of those guys that you referred to on the floor. The Beavers put it away. That's going to wrap up the show. Let's hear it for Scott Rueck, for Gary Andersen, for Wayne Tinkle. Thanks to all of you for coming out here tonight. We'll see you Thursday at Gill Coliseum, the Beavers in DePaul on the Beaver Sports Radio Network.
Go Beavers.